Greetings YouTube! I went to see Captain Marvel over the weekend and long story short, I thought it was a good film. I quite liked it. We got to see some characters that we haven't seen in a long time and we got to see some good action. Marvel have always been good at balancing action, comedy and story, and they're all decently done here. It's not an amazing film, definitely not. It's not at the same level as some of them that they've done, but it's good enough. Even though Marvel have done a lot of awesome films, especially recently, I don't accept that every single film needs to be at that high level, because then you get into this escalating situation and the demands just get unreasonable after a while. It's kind of like the video game industry constantly wanting to make more and more and more and more and more and more money on last year. It's that kind of thing. But yeah, Captain Marvel, good film, I thought. Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, obviously in the lead role, and I don't know her from anything else. A lot of other people have said that she's a very good actress in other things, not so much in this. I kind of see why they say that. Her acting does come across as a bit wooden and stilted in this film, but I'm more inclined to put that on the script rather than her, because as I say, other people say she can act her socks off in other things, but she is the basic story of the film is that the Kree and the Skrulls have been at war for goodness knows how long, and the Skrulls are trying to infiltrate planets because they can shapeshift and disguise themselves even down to the DNA. So Carol Danvers is rescued by the Kree and is recruited by them, and they have this mentality of focus on the job, don't get emotional, all that kind of stuff. So that's what she's been trained to do. Plus she's a fighter pilot, so she kind of had that particular type of personality to start with. So in that sense I can understand why she's playing the character like this. It's kind of built into the character's origin story in the film that she's like this, which is why I don't put it down to her acting so much as the script. She is wooden. She is a little bit. She has her moments where she cracks a smile and does the odd joke here and there, and she gets mad at other times. It's just they're more like cracks in the facade that her character is supposed to have, and I kind of find it difficult to fault her for that. I fault the script more than anything else. I wouldn't normally talk about this kind of thing because I think there's a lot of bullshit out there about some people getting wound up on this issue for pretty much no reason whatsoever as far as I can tell. But yes, in this film the feminism is a bit overdone. There's you're constantly reminded of it in little snippets, but constantly in Act 1 of the film, where people are just for no reason apart from the fact that they're arseholes, as far as I can tell, are having a go at her because she's a girl. And then Act 2 forgets about all that. You know how in Wonder Woman they did like 1, 2, 3 things rapid fire right at the beginning, and then it disappeared and they never referenced it again. Good. This film, it goes on for a bit longer than that. Act 2, it's completely gone, and by then you've forgotten about it. And then you get to Act 3 with a particular action sequence, and then this song plays. And then the film reminds you of it again. It's like, how? It's a hell of a slap in the face. It feels like, you know, if you have a really old banger of a car, and it feels like the gearbox is wired directly to the suspension. It's like, you really feel it when this song comes on. So yeah, the feminism is a bit overdone. Samuel L. Jackson plays Nick Fury, of course, although even though it's the same character, he doesn't play it in exactly the same way, because in the same way that Captain America the First Avenger was kind of a prequel film in its own way, this is as well. So he's much younger in the modern, I use that word advisedly, in the recent run of films. He has, I'm right in saying that he has level 7 clearance. In this film, it shows you his ID card. He's got level 3 in this. So he's a lot lower down. We're used to him being very stone-faced, having a very dry sense of humour when he decides to show it. He can be surprised by things, but he usually doesn't show it. He usually sticks with that stone-faced exterior. In this film, though, he's much more willing to crack a smile and a joke, have a laugh. He reacts to things a lot more because this is literally his first alien encounter, his first extraterrestrial thingamabob ever. He still has that dry, sarcastic approach to things, but that more, shall we say, playful aspect of him is more to the fore on this one. So you can tell it's the same character, but he hasn't aged yet, shall we put it like that. Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson, of course, and I don't know why, I always want to say Greg Clark. I have to remember the words are in alphabetical order. It's Clark Gregg. But I don't know how long I've been saying his name. I still get it wrong. He doesn't get much to do in this film, it must be said. 2, maybe 3 bits. But I like what they did, because they've obviously cut his part down because he's not pivotal to the film. But I get the impression that he's more there, more for the fans than anything else. But you do, if you have seen him in previous films and you have seen him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you can see his personality there, little snippets of it. They didn't waste his appearance. He's not there just in the background or for the sake of it. They actually do him right, remarkably, considering how little screen time he gets, and that's quite impressive. I always like it. He hasn't had a film appearance since the first Avengers film. He's been out of it for a while, and I liked seeing him back, even if it was for a teeny bit. Ben Mendelsohn, and I think I'm pronouncing his name right, and Jude Law as the Skrull and Kree commanders, respectively. And despite the fact that the Kree are supposed to be this stoic, push emotion to the side, focus on the job type, weirdly, Jude Law's Kree commander, I forget his actual name, he comes across as weirdly more interesting to watch than the woman herself. Because, again, I think this is why a lot of people say that Brie Larson in this film is very stony-faced and doesn't do much. It's probably because Jude Law is supposed to be an actual Kree, and yet he's more interesting to watch on screen. Ben Mendelsohn, again, I apologise if I pronounced his name wrong, as the Skrull commander, he was interesting from the moment he stepped foot on screen. He doesn't behave like your stereotypical bad guy. He has a different mode of speech and a different. He doesn't behave like it. His movement, the way he talks and the way he behaves, it holds your interest because it's not typical. You don't want to look away from his performance in case you see him do something interesting. I like the way he held your interest like that. Annette Bening is the other one that I remember. It was particularly memorable, is what I mean. And she plays a scientist in the film, but due to the way in which it works, she also plays the Supreme Intelligence, which governs Kree society or something like that. And she's very creepy in that role as the Supreme Intelligence. You know how some people have that look? They can sort of... They don't move towards you. They just have a way of looking at you, and she has that. It's very creepy. I liked her. And Goose the cat. If it was, I think, in all honesty, the best actor in this film, or at least the way it looks to me, I think it's Ben Mendelsohn is the best actor in this film, the Skrull commander. Goose the cat is a strong contender for second. I don't want to get into it because spoilers, but they do some funny stuff with him and some other stuff. It's spoilers, but yeah. If it wasn't for Ben Mendelsohn, Goose the cat would be the best actor in this film. As I say, Marvel have gotten really good at balancing the whole action, comedy, character story type stuff. They've gotten good at it over this cinematic universe that they've created. This as quite a lot of other people have already pointed out, it's not as good as Wonder Woman, it's not as good as Black Panther. It is better than Thor the Dark World and The Incredible Hulk. In my opinion, it's in between there. It's on par with roughly Iron Man and Ant-Man, in my opinion. This is a fun film to go watch. From all the negative things I was reading or hearing about online, I expected this film, and I don't like going in with expectations, but I was expecting this film to be a train wreck, and it was a pleasant surprise in that respect. I like Captain Marvel, and I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's a good film. It's a decent introduction to Captain Marvel, the character, and obviously part of this film's purpose was to sort of introduce her to everybody so that she could enter Endgame and team up with Thor and kick Thanos' ass. And it does a decent enough job of that. If they'd have... They should have downplayed the feminism thing a little bit. I think if they'd taken out that song choice in the Act 3 fight, that would have made a big difference. Taking out maybe 1 or 2 snippets early on in Act 1. And if they had made her... They try to make her interesting. I just think they wrote her a little bit too wooden. If they had tweaked those things, maybe it would have been better received. I'm not sure the film as a whole would have been that much better. But I think people would have thought better of it if they had done that. But I liked it. It had some fun moments. You see some characters come back that we haven't seen for a while, and the action is your typical Marvel full-blown film, over-the-topness. It doesn't disappoint in that regard either. So that's it. I think I'm done on this. That was Captain Marvel, 7 out of 10. Good film, I think. Let me know what you thought down in the comments section. What did you think of my video, like or dislike, and you can always subscribe and share as well. See you next time.